All set? All right. Hello, I am at Galacticon Denver, running podcasts and help with Dice Tower Theater, doing cosplay shenanigans with.
Maelove Cosplay.
And Violet Pursuit Cosplay.
And I'm Heather After Cosplay.
So we did have some technical difficulties. If it does show up, we'll toss it on the end or intersplice it. But I guess where we left off was where you guys got your starts. If I'm
Yeah, I started by seeing some goofy little cosplay videos on the internet, and I was like, that's going to be easy. And it wasn't. I learned how to make my cosplays, how to video, edit, and record, and I fell in love with every single part of cosplay.
I started out building huge family costume builds for the whole group, and then I just decided that maybe Comic-Cons and cosplay were a great place for me to be with all of my costumes.
And I got started way back in the day in 1996. I had a friend who told me about conventions, a place where you could dress up like your favorite anime characters, and I thought that sounded like a great idea, so I joined her, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and one thing we did mention, I guess, off camera now is we have like the new, mid, and the wisdom.
Old school.
in that sense, and just so we can cover our bases, what was like where you guys started out with in like the first cosplays you ever did, and like maybe some of the difficulties, especially since it was the first one.
Yeah. So my first cosplay, I used just things from my closet. I had an old white corset that I dyed light blue, and I made a crown, and I made Rosalina from Mario.
So sweet. My first cosplay was a gender-bent Darth Vader. I already had a helmet, and then I did use a black corset that I added buttons and other cool things to look like his chest piece. And then I learned how to sew a cape. That was the first time I started sewing capes. And then spray painted some stormtrooper-like costumes I found from the dollar store, and then edited more random things like soda bottles and stuff to make shin guards. And that was the start, was recycled items and found items.
I love that. And for me, I think one of the biggest challenges, this was before the internet was as big as it is now, so it was really difficult to find reference. So we had to watch the anime over and over again and try to get the costume elements right, pausing it and making little drawings and such. So that was definitely the most difficult aspect for me, was just getting everything correct. And I missed some things. I had to go back and remake it all like a couple of years later, because I loved the character, but I don't feel like I did her justice the first go. So, but I'm happy to have had another chance.
It's important to give yourself that chance.
Yes.
I think that's the same with like any cosplayer, because I think we were talking the other day of like there's always little details that like you'll notice like after the fact. Yep. Even if no one else will.
My cosplays can always be improved every single time I wear them.
Yeah, I find with my favorite characters, like Peach, for example, I will continue to improve and update items basically as I see fit. So this is actually the second version of this gown.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you.
And then, so another thing too is like there's also like a slight difference between like big custom cosplays like what you do, and then May, you're more on like the closet cosplay side of things. So where would like how that works for you and how you figure that out?
Yeah, I just look at the character and look at what I have around my house and pull things together, and I try to like match the colors. So like my character now has white feathers in the show, and so I'm like, I already have a white wig, and she has a pink top, so I already had a pink dress, and just matching where the colors go to make it look like the character.
Yeah.
I also like thrifting and finding stuff at thrift stores so that I can reduce waste and all that fun stuff.
So I guess what were some of, also like going back to like the beginning of the pod here, some of the inspirations that, besides just like, oh, this is cool, like got you more like energized to keep going?
I think that for me, it's always that there's something to learn. I can get bored with one thing and then immediately go to something else. So there's like makeup, editing, sewing, prop work, painting, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
That and also, I completely agree. Yeah, I love doing puzzles, and I feel like with cosplay, you've always got a new puzzle in front of you. But for me, what really hooked me and kept me going is I've always been kind of a shy person, especially growing up, and for whatever reason, putting on a costume and being somebody other than yourself for a while. That really helped me come out of my shell, build my confidence, and it's just been really wonderful. I feel like I've grown a lot from doing it.
Yeah.
I would fully agree with that. Princess Peach is much more social than I actually am.
So I guess going into that, is there like any advice for other blossoming cosplayers that are now getting inspired by the three of you?
My advice would be to just go for it and don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Have fun doing something that you love and trying something new.
Yeah, no, I think that was really well said. I would also add that if you find that you're stuck on something, it's really important to tell yourself that you don't know how to do this yet, not that you don't know how to do this. So you can always learn something new. If there's a skill you want to learn, it is an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, and something that I love nowadays, I'm amazed it's available, is there are so many cosplay costumes that you can just buy off the rack online, which is so nice. I love it. And I wish that something like that had been available to me. So even though I can sew, and I do a lot of that, at the same time, I don't think there's any shame in, if you see a character that you like and it's a good price, then, just go ahead and buy it and, and wear it and feel good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only exception to that is when you're competing and you don't have to compete to go to Comic-Con. You can just come here and have a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I guess going off of what Heather said, like going in through is like, what are some awesome changes that you've seen through the years? Because that lost the train of thought. Seeing like the changes from like where you started into now, and like how that transition has been over the years, and all three of you can make a little comment on that from when you started too.
I've noticed just a lot more positivity, and like you said earlier, that there's just more resources. There's a lot of online tutorials. You can buy your own cosplays, and I make tutorials to try to help out like other people on the internet who might be struggling or might want to figure out how I did something with a piece of my costume.
Very cool. I mean, I would absolutely agree. As my first year out cosplaying, I think one of the things that has really been most resourceful to me is being able to go online and look at the work of so many other talented cosplayers who are willing to share their work, whether I'm paying for it or it's free. I mean, it's amazing how many resources you can find on the internet now.
And for me, I'm just glad that I can say cosplay now and people know what I'm talking about. I love that it's become something that is so widely understood and respected. Back in the day, people just didn't understand it as well as they do now. They just kind of thought that you were a silly adult playing dress up, or something along those lines. But now when you say it, people, I think they recognize that there is a lot more that usually goes into it. There's the creation aspect, there's the performance aspect, and it's what keeps me coming back is all of the different new things that I get to try.
Yeah, the fact that like people start to know what cosplay is now is really important. I know my family has no idea, and so when the first time I did a cosplay in front of my dad, I was like so nervous. I'd already been doing cosplay for a year, but he's never seen me do it, and so I get all dressed up into Princess Peach, and I go out to his hotel room, and he's like, "You're like a Disney princess. You're like a princess from Disney. Boys, come take a picture with her. You're like a Disney princess." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he likes it."
Yes, that's awesome.
You see, it's always good to have the support.
Yeah.
Because that also goes on like on my side of things as the guy behind the camera, either interviewing or doing my cosplay music videos, which I've actually gotten all three of you in multiple times now. Is like always seeing, it's like so distracting because I'm like, I could easily miss any one of you at any point. But like, I think that's one benefit. It's like the community, especially if you go to local conventions, is there's such a community I will run into the same people, and we will look for each other at different conventions.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I guess for anyone who wants pictures or video like I do, what is recommendations for it? Because I know there's a slight issue in the broad spectrum of things.
I'd say my thing is we dress up to get attention for a little bit. So we want pictures. We want to take photos with you guys, but we can't always take photos. So sometimes we run into the issue where we can't take a photo. We love taking photos, so just like catch us at a different time if you need. But the rule is to just ask before you take photos.
Yeah, and just kind of, I don't know, common courtesy. Like if I'm taking my wig off, I don't want you to take my picture. It's not a good time. Or like if I'm eating.
Somebody
I'm
caught me
busy.
mid-bite into a big burger.
Yeah, and you're like, you're not going to post that, are you? It's just not flattering.
Yeah, and that's so I'm a little sensitive. You know, I like to try and look nice when I'm online, and so things like I've had people ask me when I'm kind of in relaxed mode, like maybe I took my wig off and parts of my costume are gone. If they can if they want to do a photo, and I said, well, if you just want a photo with Heather, sure, but but please don't say that this is me representing Black Widow today, because that's not what that's not. This isn't the full thing, and we want to give you the full effect. So,
Then the adage of cosplay is not consent. So unless they are comfortable being touched or whatnot, they will let you know. The different cosplayers, it all varies, but make sure you have full permissions to talk, to get pictures, to get video, and definitely don't touch anyone, because it can make things very uncomfortable very fast.
Yeah.
So we had a train of thought. I am so sorry. Because you guys all made good points, and I didn't know what more to add besides just the common phrase. I guess in terms of what I'm sorry, I just had something stuck in the throat. What also makes you excited when you do see people who are excited to get a picture with you, whether it be a little kid or someone who's like in their 80s, just lighting up to see their favorite characters?
Yeah, so my favorite thing is to dress up as a princess character at least once during a convention, because I love like seeing little kids. My favorite memory is one of the cons that I came back to after COVID. I was dressed up as Princess Peach, and a little girl in her little stroller got out of her stroller, came up to me, took my hand, and just started walking with me. And her parents saw this whole thing and like was watching her and was like, "You're just gonna go walk off with a stranger?" And she's like, "It's Princess Peach." And so we walked down the hallway, and I was like, "Here's like my little princess." Like I made a big show of it. But yeah, like that's one of my favorite like interactions with fans that I have.
I would fully agree. I love going as Peaches for the same reason. It's little kids, and it's also, I mean, adults and elderly people respond to Peach and Mario. I mean, they love them. They're iconic. And I will say, yesterday I went as a Sith, and no kids wanted a hug or a picture with me. And it's a pretty big difference. But then you get, older gentlemen who are about the photos. So you really do have to pay attention to who you dress as, because people are going to interact with you. And it will be a crowd who is appropriate for that character usually. So you're going to get the appropriate attention.
Well, and I just to add to that, I suppose, I feel the same way. I don't do any princess characters, but I do love kids, and just getting to interact with them and see their faces when they are excited about what you're wearing is always a lot of fun. I also love it when I get recognized by adults who actually see my work and have something nice to say, and it really is such a nice ego boost. A little story. So a couple years ago, I was at the Colorado Renaissance Festival, and I was there for Time Travelers Weekend. They had me as a guest in one of my Star Trek outfits, and so I'm just walking around, and all of a sudden this very handsome middle-aged couple approaches me, and they say, "Hey, you look amazing, just wanted to let you know." I said, "Oh, thank you so much, I really appreciate it." And then the woman goes, yes, and we should know because we worked on Star Trek. And I was like,
Oh, shit.
oh my God.
That is insane.
And I was like, and who are you? And so it was Dean Gates and his wife Nina. They were both, and he actually has won an Emmy for his work on DS9. And so he did a lot of the makeup for them. And he told me that I looked like I just walked right off the set. And that's just one of the nicest compliments I've gotten. And so, it's a lot of, it's for the ego boost.
Bet your heart was a flutter during that.
Yeah, and then he's become a personal friend too. So that's been really cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I guess we'll lean into that one a little bit. Because like doing cosplay, coming to conventions, you meet some awesome people, whether it be big name or whether it be small time local. Who are some of the people you have never thought you'd meet in a million years, but have managed to either brush shoulders or have a conversation with?
I didn't actually meet him, but I sat in on a panel. Steve from Blue's Clues. When I was a little kid, I watched Blue's Clues every single day, and when I saw it, it definitely healed my inner child. I was like, we had to go see Steve from Blue's Clues. So I was very excited to see him last year at Denver Fan Expo.
Oh, that is so cool. Actually, I mean, aside from all the usual celebrities that we usually get to see, which is really cool. There's always a huge lineup. I actually really often hold the cosplayers in very high esteem and spend a lot of time talking to them. So Lily the bunny is probably one of the people who I hold in the highest esteem, and I didn't cry when I met her, but I almost did. So it was cool to have conversations with her. She's super approachable and friendly. So.
It's difficult to choose. But so probably one of my most fun experiences is DragonCon 2000 on July 3rd, actually. I was walking along. I was dressed as Sydney Savage from Danger Girls, doing promotion for them. And I was with another one of my Danger Girls, and so we were kind of going along the con floor. All of a sudden, David Prowse, Darth Vader, kind of notices us, and he's like, hey, come here. So, we went over, and he's like, hey, ladies, it's my birthday, and they're going to bring me a cake. Would you like to hang out and celebrate my birthday with me? And so so the con people at DragonCon, they brought David Prowse this huge birthday cake, and so we were all excited to, dig in. And then we realized that nobody brought any silverware. So thankfully somebody found a little plastic knife and we cut it up, and then we were all eating with our hands. So I got to have birthday cake with David Prowse, heathen style, which was pretty cool.
That is honestly awesome.
That's a story. That is cool.
All right, so we're going to do a couple last minute things as we do got to wrap up. And because we are about to go to a cosplay competition here, why don't we talk about your experience with cosplay competition, either getting ready for it, watching if you haven't participated, or potentially judging if you have judged before.
I've participated in a cosplay contest before. The best thing is the amount of friends that you make. That is my favorite thing. I get to go see people who I've only seen online, or I only see at these cosplay contests, and I get to make new friends and just hang out with other creative people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I fully agree. My favorite part is probably the the most antagonizing part, where you're just waiting in the line in the back with all of the other creative people for their turn to go on stage, and we're all super nervous. At least I am at that point. I love that part because you're talking to people in their competition builds and listening to just, what inspired their build and how they built it, because I always like to pick brains. And also learning about them as people, because there's always such a huge array of cosplayers competing. I mean, there's school teachers all the way down to teenagers. It's really cool.
Yeah. And cosplay competitions have changed an awful lot over the years. I'm kind of amazed. Back in the day, we just used to throw together a skit and get up on stage and kind of make fools of ourselves. And hopefully the audience enjoyed it, and that was great. But now we have craftsmanship judging, and and then people do so many amazing things. And there's even, I guess, judging a day or two ahead of time in a lot of cases. And I've been on all sides of it. I've done the, competed, back in the day, and then I became a master in 2000 and then moved on to professional, so I wasn't allowed to compete anymore, which actually really worked out well for me because I see some beginners now that could kick my booty when it comes to construction and such. So that's, I'll just rest on my laurels. Thank you very much. But yeah, I guess but back when I did do the competition side of it, the thing that I liked the best is when it was over and I could finally take a breath and relax, because it was a little nerve-wracking, being up on stage. But something that was really cool about it was when you're up there, you can't really see anybody. So you're kind of performing to, just like a sea of light and, shadows, basically. So that I know made it a lot easier for me, when I was up there. And then insofar as the whole, judging things go, it's so much fun to see everybody enjoying themselves. And I'm a little biased towards the kids. I love watching them get up and, show off their costumes and be proud. So.
I think the last question before we end it off is any advice for someone who does want to compete?
My advice is cosplay doesn't have to be expensive to look nice. I've seen huge armor builds just made out of cardboard, and it's just like painted in a way so that it looks like metal, but it's not. And a lot of people thrift material from Goodwill or wherever, and cosplay does not have to be expensive to get started. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fully agree. And if you are looking to compete specifically, just keep your work clean. And if you don't know how to do something, Google it and teach yourself. Don't just skip over it. Learn how to do it right.
Yeah. And different judges look for different things. Just for me personally, I would say that one of the things that I enjoy seeing the most is when somebody performs a bit, gets up there and say they're a kitty character. If they kind of, do one of these or, act like a little kitty cat, then that's a lot of fun to see, and it makes it more enjoyable for the audience and the judges too. So if you are up there, don't just, get up and, woodenly, turn around and show off your costume. Get up there and perform a bit, because that is your moment, and everybody is rooting for you, seriously. We all want to see you perform and have a lot of fun.
And then I want to say thank you guys for coming on and doing this podcast with me. I know there was some difficulties getting it organized, but I appreciate all three of you for coming in. And so where can people find you so that way they can check out your craft, check out everything if you want?
I'm Maelove Cosplay. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
I am Violet Pursuit Cosplay, and I'm on Instagram. I also have a website called violetpursuit.com.
And I am Heather After Cosplay, and I am mainly on Facebook and Instagram right now. I've also got DeviantArt and a free Patreon, and I'm trying to get up the I'm trying to get up the energy to move on to things like TikTok and Twitter.
That could definitely be hard. Like I said, thank y'all for taking your time for me with the podcast, and also thank you to they're not on camera right now, but thank you to Dice Tower Theater for giving us this time slot to do this podcast. It has been honestly amazing, like getting this brand new experience for me. And I don't know about you guys, but it's been awesome. But I think we will. Any last words before we close out?
Well, this was fun, Connor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Connor.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
Nice to be